Film Hour. I'm Jess.
And I'm Emily.
And together we bring you an hour filled with film facts and interviews.
On today's show, we will be interviewing one of the filmmakers behind upcoming horror film Sinner, as well as Baz Luhrmann, diving deep into the real truth behind The Great Gatsby's delay in release date. Onwards with the show! Let's kick off the show with our first guest. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here in the studio with us today, but still, let's give a warm welcome to Jessica Henderson.
Hi, Emily.
You look awfully familiar, Jessica.
Really? I don't think I've seen you before.
So, anyway, you're on this show to talk about your new film with Eye Entertainment, Sinner, right?
Yes, I am. I feel our film is interesting and will greatly appeal to our target audience as...
Sorry, who is your target audience?
15 to 25-year-olds. I feel it will greatly appeal to them as most horror films do, and we do follow many of the conventions of a typical horror film. However, we also contradict some of these conventions. However, this makes our film unique and compelling.
It's all very well saying that, but the question is how does it follow and challenge conventions of existing horror films?
Vladimir Prop, a Russian critic and literary theorist, came up with two main theories behind narratives. These were the character roles and narrative functions. Although he lived from the late 19th century to the 1970s, his work still lives on today and shapes many typical film narratives. His character roles clearly state the conventional types of character in a typical narrative. Perhaps the most significant of these are the hero and the villain, both of which we have included within the first 2 minutes of our film Sinner. The hero is usually seeking something, and we as an audience are more biased to prefer that character. However, the villain opposes the hero, and we as an audience feel biased to dislike that character. Our protagonist is called Lucy Barrett, and she is the hero of our film Sinner. She is seeking a life outside of her strict religion. The villain is not shown visually, however is hinted at as the psychological state of our protagonist Lucy, as we see Lucy against a white surreal background which signifies her mind and makes audience question her mentality. Narrative functions are also shown within our film opening as well. Under the preparation segment of props theory, which in translation means the beginning of a film, two of the functions are that the villain attempts to take possession of the victim's belongings, and that the victim unknowingly allows themselves to be deceived by the villain and therefore helps the villain. Both of these are shown in our opening, as Lucy is supposedly possessed by the villain and allows herself to be deceived by the villain, therefore unknowingly helps them.
Oh, right. Any other theorists your work is influenced by?
Yes, actually. Charles Levi-Strauss considered binary opposition within film narratives and thought that they symbolised certain beliefs. In our film, we have highlighted the damage of psychological deterioration by using binary oppositions such as heaven and hell, villain versus victim, and chaos versus tranquility, especially within the opening. Now, I bet you're wondering how we oppose certain conventions. Tristan Todorov came up with a theory of an equilibrium beginning the film and ending the film, however this equilibrium being disturbed throughout the film. We have contrasted this and not began our film with a state of equilibrium. In fact, the beginning shot of our film is a disturbing master shot of our protagonist, curled up against a white background, immediately telling the viewer there is something wrong with our protagonist and questioning them.
Fascinating! Any other less complicated codes and conventions you follow or challenge?
Yes. Horror films are conventionally shown through a male gaze, which is a theory come up with by Laura Mulvey. The theory states that women are seen as usually in the media through a heterosexual male's perspective as either a sexual object or an object of status. Therefore, we have used a female victim as from a male perspective that will make the victim seem more weak and vulnerable rather than a male victim. It is also a convention of horror films, which is why we've used it. We have also used slow-paced editing to build tension within our horror film and extensive use of close-ups for a dramatic effect. These are both high conventions of a horror film, which is why we've used them, and we feel they are effective. However, there's also a convention of a subplot in a horror film between a male and female relationship. However, we have not used this in our horror film, as we feel one of the main themes of our film is isolation, and we don't want to go against this theme by using this convention. Therefore, we have challenged that convention.
Great! I'm afraid that's all we've got time for.
Goodbye!